thanks for coming along today to Cancer Focus Northern Ireland Patient and Carers Conference. It's just a delight to see you all here today. The theme of today's conference is New Horizons, focusing on moving forward after your cancer diagnosis and treatment. The power of hearing other stories is really immeasurable. So that's why we've invited a number of patients to come today to share their story, and hopefully you'll find that of huge benefit.
I was diagnosed in August 2017 and following that I had to have surgery. I had a neck dissection and tonsillectomy and had some lymph nodes removed, and then towards the beginning of October I started 6.5 weeks of radiotherapy, and I had 5 cycles of chemotherapy within that as well. Before I was diagnosed, I was actually pregnant, so I only got my diagnosis towards the end of my pregnancy. So it was a complete whirlwind. I was induced 3 weeks early, so the doctors could start doing tests and find out exactly what my course of treatment would be.
I was sent to a diagnosis of tongue cancer. World's turned upside down basically. 6 months more or less been on hold for me. I'm a very outgoing person. Like a bit of fun, bit of crack, but also like to be working physical all the time. I work as a trainer in road service, so we'll be taking rooms of 18 or 20 people. It's really rocked my confidence, a wee bit of speech defect now.
Whenever Jack was diagnosed, you never, as I say, you never prepare yourself for it. You just don't expect the worst, and it doesn't just affect Jack, myself and my son and daughter. It affects the whole family. It affects your friends, everybody. Because Jack's was aggressive and because it was in his lower mouth, it would have left a hole in his neck. So he had to get the main artery taken out of his left arm, put into his mouth with a skin graft from his arm into his mouth, and then a skin graft from his stomach to his arm. So, and it's the physical aspect of it as well, you know, the scarring, it's the scar in the neck. It's wee things like that you just don't realise at the time, and it's just day to day. You just automatically you get through it, but you don't know how you get through it, but you do, you find the strength from somewhere. Yeah. But since Jack's diagnosis in February, from surgery to March, and then the results then from the biopsies that it was aggressive, the radiotherapy, chemo, finishing treatment in July, to now, Jack has just come on remarkable. I'm so proud of everything that he has went through. It's been a long haul, it has, but we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, in December 2017, I was diagnosed with tongue cancer. Pretty much straight away, we had major surgery to remove the tongue, the lump from the tongue. We had reconstruction of the tongue, along with stuff removed from my neck. We then proceeded with 7 weeks of chemotherapy and 7.5 weeks of radiotherapy. Towards the end of radiotherapy, life became very difficult. Because I was on liquid food, my calorie intake wasn't enough. I was losing a lot of weight. I was going to radiotherapy, I was going home to bed. I wasn't interacting with anyone for those couple of weeks. Eventually, I had lost too much weight, and I went back into hospital for 3 weeks, and where I was monitored with extra food dosage of calories, and I ended up with a morphine drip. If I possibly had listened to the doctors and the nurses at the time and went in maybe a week beforehand, I potentially might not have had to have all the stuff going on again. There was a period of about 4 to 5 weeks where you're pretty much having to focus on yourself, getting yourself better, physically, I had lost a lot of weight. Kids are wanting to go to the park, out on their bikes. You know, for that 4 or 5 weeks, that wouldn't have been possible. With the right people in the background, it didn't really. It bothered me, but it helped that they were there so that I could then concentrate on my recovery, on getting myself back to where I know I need to be. And here we are, 9-10 months later, and back to normal, back to running after the family, running after the kids, out to the park every day. It's been brilliant.
In November 2013, I was finding difficulty swallowing, so I went to my doctor and he referred me to the Royal. They thought it was actually reflux, so I went to get the camera. When they got the camera down, they pulled it out, they seen a growth at the back of my throat. Transpired that there was cancer, and he told me then that I would lose my voice box. I would have a total laryngectomy. They found that the cancer was very aggressive and was more deeper than they thought it was. So they had to do a fairly extensive operation, which meant that I couldn't get the TOP in straight away. So literally I couldn't talk for a year. I was using a Servox, which is an electronic device. And that was hard to get used to. But as you do, you make the best of what you've got. So I wanted to get that tour, master that tour. And to be honest with you, it was brilliant. People could understand me. I could converse with them. And for a year, then I talked to Servox, and I found very little. In fact, I had to go get actual batteries. I was wearing the batteries out too much because I was talking too much on it. Well, my eating habits have changed drastically since I got the operation and radiotherapy. And then find it very, very difficult to eat. I have a dry mouth, which requires saying I take plenty of liquids. Also, I eat very, very slowly because as a result of the narrowing of the esophagus, which I get dilations for every 2 to 3 months. But I've found ways to get around this. For instance, I eat softer diet at things when I go to functions or weddings or tea or anything like that. I will ask for the meal to come 20 minutes or so earlier so I can actually get the meal earlier, because if everybody else is finished, I'm usually only eating a few mouthfuls, basically because I can't swallow it as quick as the rest of people. But that is a good way I found actually get around it. And at the start, because of my eating, it did knock my confidence. I didn't like going out to eat at all. But when you find these wee ways around it, you can go beyond sort of difficulties.
I was diagnosed with cancer of the soft palate in April, and I was operated on in May, and the surgery was a complete success. And I'm lucky not to have had radiotherapy or chemotherapy. I'm looking forward to going back to work eventually. My day-to-day life hasn't been affected so badly. Just general no strength in my 2 arms and soreness in my shoulder, which restricts what I can lift and do. I feel that my energy levels are taking a long time to return to normal, but I'm working on that and will work on it more.
First diagnosed 10 years ago with squamous carcinoma, with vocal cord cancer. Got re-diagnosed May 20th, 2019. I had to get surgery to get my voice box taken out. it has been a transformation from what you take for granted that you can talk, which you have to stop it. Sometimes you do go to talk, but you can't. You have to use the hands-free or use your finger at the button to use your voice. Day-to-day life has changed slightly with the suction and nebulizing, which obviously I know it's subsiding, but it does take time, it is time consuming. I think I would say would be if you try and do a bit of exercise, get your lung capacity up, hopefully intend to go back to work, but it's just going to take a bit of time, just not 100% myself ready to go back to work internally. Externally I feel fine, but as I say, hopefully I'll return back to work at some stage or very shortly. It's a bit too young for retirement. I had to leave work because of my difficulties with breathing and things like that. You get a bit depressed, so you do, because you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what's happening and things like that. Finances was a big question too. But again, when you think about it, you start to adjust again and you get running. But mostly, I may say with the help of your family. Family is a great help. And if your family is with you, you're halfway there. In fact, you're more than halfway there. You're 90% there. When
I was diagnosed with cancer, there was one person that needed to be there for me, which was Tracy, and she, to this day, has stood by me through a hell of a lot. She's been stronger and stronger, and you know, if anything, our relationship as a couple has got stronger over the last 12 months.
I've had a lot of support from the consultant, Miss Drula, Melanie, and all the other nurses and doctors that have looked after me, not to mention my family and my husband Neil. He's been amazing, but it has been a very, very hard journey. But I've got through it, through the other side now, and life is relatively normal again. I do have some side effects, mainly from my surgery, which has affected my shoulder. Silly things like reaching out the car window to get a parking ticket. I wouldn't be able to stretch fully, so I have to kind of move my whole body across to reach. But overall I do think I'm okay. I think that's the physical side of things, but mentally and emotionally has been difficult. I think the paranoia of things, it's easing now, but if, for example, my throat might be a bit sore if I've got a cold or something, I'm in the mirror with a torch looking down my throat, looking for something, thinking, oh my goodness, what's that, what is it? But I have to just remember it's just a sore throat. An area that has been very challenging for me since my diagnosis was just wanting to be a mum and not a cancer patient, but just wanting to be a mum and not being able to, and wanting it so much. And I remember when Neil would have taken me down to the cancer centre for my radiotherapy, and I would have seen a mum walking down the road with a pram and just so wanted that to be me, and I just couldn't do it at the time. So that was very, very challenging, but making up for it now and enjoying my time with my little boys. So, but yeah, that was extremely difficult.
As a head and neck cancer nurse specialist, I can see the real value that our patients get from having that peer support and that real lived experience from other people who have been through this journey. We're going to get some useful and practical advice and tips from other patients who have been through this already, and maybe a bit of advice on how people have helped to establish a new normal after they've had their treatment.
My advice to somebody moving on from their head and neck cancer experience would be just try and keep positive and look at how far you've come. I look back now and it feels like it was a bit of a dream, and sometimes think, did I really go through all that? And just, you can do it, you can get through. Some days you'll feel like you can't and you want to give up, but just try and find that strength from within to keep going, and talk to people and let them help you.
If you feel tired, get up, go out. If you only can walk as far as the front gate and back, do that. And every day, taking our objective, try to walk down the street, walk back again. Try and get your limits and get beyond your limits, and try and keep as healthy as possible. And secondly, to keep practicing. Practice. As long more you practice, the better the muscles are at the back of your throat, stronger they get, and the more powerful your voice will become. Another thing is give yourself sort of like aims and things that you're aiming for. I was aiming to see my daughter go to college. She's achieved that. Things like that, to give yourself wee pointers and take every day as it comes.
Be very positive. People say that, but it's true. Keep smiling. If you can, have a sense of humour about it all. I enjoyed my time even in here with my carers and surgeons, and I think you need to be really positive and know that it's not the end of the world.
For me, having to retrain yourself to eat and speak even, and the way you speak, you have to listen to the advice you're getting from the dietitian and the speech therapy, as well as the physiotherapy for your own movements and stuff, because everything's restricted by scar tissue. So please take the advice from the specialists to know what to do.
My advice for family and friends and carers would be just to stay positive, to take all the help and support that you're getting from your family and friends, and just to take each day as it comes.
Just keep going forward and don't look back. Best thing is probably to get out and about. It's actually opposite to what you would think, is to stay at home and hide. Best thing is get out and about. Get used to your new life. There's a petrol station I'm from Armagh. Everybody knows it's a small city. Everybody knows everybody. One thing I was dreading was going into it. It's about 2 days, 2 days after my surgery. Pretty much driving, but for some reason I had to go into it. It was the best thing I did, because I was in. Got that out of the way. So it was so much easier going here, there and everywhere ever since.
The support from medical staff, support from family, accept it, take it, and never give up.